important. It is our nature to reach out for that human touch. Now, what I've done. Go ahead, Nina.
Let me ask you one question. You know, people have moved from the offline world, from the mail in your mailbox, and they've swung. The pendulum has swung to the online world. If I'm hearing what you're saying just a few minutes ago, it's really good if you're going to be sending mail, and there is some real advantages for doing that. They still want that human touch.
Oh, yeah.
But you cannot get that human touch on a computer as well, correct?
No, you really can't. And even, you know, and everything now is so automated. I mean, the phone lines and everything is automated. And we need to get back. I think that people do pay attention more when there's that human aspect to it, you know?
Which is what you're showing us right now, is with your real handwriting font.
Yes, this is the real handwriting font. You know, the same letter in an Andrea font, my font. And, you know, the reason why I started out with the graphology was because, you know, when I graduated from college some time ago, I went out to get a job with MetLife, and when they interviewed me, they made me give them a sample of my handwriting, and I didn't think anything of it. You know, you want me to write? I'll write. So they called me the next day, and they said that according to my handwriting style, it had an ability to be persuasive. And later I had that handwriting tested, and, you know, the graphology report came back that, you know, not only did I have the mind rules heart, which is that up and down type of direction to my writing, but also a little nudge to the right. So not only am I nudging people gently, but I also am appealing to their sensibilities as well. And I write with a pretty heavy hand, so that means that I'm appealing to them on the more emotional and stronger emotional level. So that, you know, it's a practical, straightforward little nudge to act now and to act on the message that they're receiving.
Yeah, and the point is, there really is lots and lots of studies saying how important handwriting is. And that's interesting that MetLife would have actually had you give them a handwriting sample.
Well, you know, and when I gave that sample a few minutes ago, I put that little smiley face, that little doodle at the end. I just couldn't help it. When I write copy, I love to put in these little doodles on the side because I want people to pay attention. I want them to look at that, taxes, blah, 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 and tax help, and, you know, help is on the way. And this is just what I want to tell people when I'm communicating with them because, you know, it really gets them to pay attention. And it calls out part of the copy in ways that most people wouldn't use.
Yeah, I mean, but if you're writing to somebody, now I don't see it in this particular sample, but I've seen it on occasions when you've actually crossed something out, because we know that we cannot write perfectly. If you're sitting down to write a letter, you will make a mistake.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And so you have purposely, in some that I've seen, actually crossed things out and made them a little crooked and all sorts of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you something else, too. You know, don't be afraid of misspelling, because if anybody can spell perfectly, you know, I mean, you're a special person, and you need to identify yourself right now. So, yeah, don't be afraid to use those misspellings and little carrots as well.
Now, I've got to ask you, though, Andrea, this is coming from a CPA. Now, I'm hearing all the people that are on this call, and they're all saying, yeah, right, come on. No CPA is going to be sending a letter with little eyeballs and blah, blah, blah. And, I mean, this is ridiculous. They're going to be professional. So talk about that a minute.
Well, you know what? I mean, I think that at some point when you're dealing with something that you want to hit someone at a personal level, you know, it is important to leave that professionalism on the doorstep. Let me tell you something. If you're sitting across the desk from somebody, don't you want them just to tell it like it is? Don't you want them to put aside all of the facade and all of the decorum and all of the phony baloney stuff that is out there, all of the window dressing, and just tell you the straight stuff? This is just the way it is. Because most people translate it in their minds this way anyway. You know, they're going to talk about taxes. Yeah, taxes, 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 blah, 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 blah. You know, it's the most important thing is to be real. And I think that after looking at all the pretty stuff, now people are finally getting around to the point that they need to cut through all of the who you fill in the blanks and just be real with the person they're talking to.
Yeah, I've certainly seen it in any client that I have that can get over that and understand that, always do far better than anybody that thinks they have to hold on to that professionalism.
Now,
you know, they can have fun with this.
Now, I want you to just, you know, like sort of fasten your seatbelt because it gets even more fun right now. Look at this. Check this out. What we have is this yellow lined paper, and you know, for a long time we would go to our source out in the Midwest and say, can you run over to Office Depot and pick up, you know, a case of yellow lined paper, cut it off the pads, and feed it through your printers. And for a long time they said that they would, but finally I got a phone call one day, actually Sarah did, and we were informed that that wouldn't work anymore since they had broken their copying equipment. And you know this, Nina, that lighter yellow lined paper, that stuff will
Yes.
just destroy equipment.
Yeah, in fact, I used to work. I used to be responsible for a fleet of 400 copiers, and so I understand what you're saying. I personally have run real yellow paper through a small printer. Believe me, you cannot get very many of them through before it really starts heating things up and curling and jamming.
That's right. So what we've been able to do is actually, you know, we created this yellow line paper. It's the same color. It's the same. It is almost the same weight. Yellow lines, the red line down the side, and this stuff can go right through. Nina, I hope that you're not upset with me because, you know, I know this is your business, but you know, I'm going to let the secret out. They can put this yellow line paper right into their printer and print these sales letters out just themselves, you know.
No, absolutely. No, I have not created. I mean, we've done some stuff, but no, Andrea, I don't have any of this kind of stuff. I'm thrilled that you're providing this kind of stuff for clients. So that's awesome.
Well, that's great. You know, I love the funness of this, and it's not just for fun stuff. I mean, you know, you can take a very serious subject and put it here, a lift sheet, a postcard even. You can use all of these handwritten elements and call-outs to really, you know, grab people's attention. That's the bottom line. And you know, Nina, you know this. If they don't read it, then they're not even going to be able to find out what you're talking about.
Well, first of all, if they don't even open the envelope, or if they don't even, they're not even going to be able to read it. Several years ago, I did a sequence of mail pieces for the Purdue University. Actually, it was for a student organization there, and by the time we had sent the third piece, it was a series of 3. And these were going to people who were professional people, high-end. They were pilots. They were executives. Mm-hmm. And by the time they got the third piece in that sequence, because I did these kind of things. Now, I didn't have your doodles like this, but I did these kind of things. And by the time they got the third piece, they literally were sending notes back to these kids saying, "Do not take us off your mailing list. This stuff is really cool. You know, please leave us." And to this day, Andrea, and this is absolute truth, this day, to this point, they are still getting people who are donating to whatever it was that they were wanting 2 years later, and they never sent out another piece. It had that kind of an impact on them.
That's awesome. I mean, that is really, really, really awesome. And, you know, it shows you that, you know, when you look at something that is, you know, this basic letter, looks like came from a computer and is very, very, you know, generic, and then you take it to something that is outrageous, something that's interesting to read, something that catches people off guard and puts personality into it, you know, then that's the difference. I mean, there it is right there. You can see it. I don't have to explain it.
It's huge.